Guruve Gauri Chanjaya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dhanyavad, Pranam devotees. So there are a couple of questions that came in. I just wanted to check with someone to make sure it was all right for me to answer their question online like this. I usually do that. I usually ask, unless it's somebody I know or somebody who's asked questions a lot before, I'll usually check with them to make sure it's okay that I can answer the question on this kind of format. As I mentioned a long time ago and repeated many times, this has been an easier format for me to answer questions because people do write a lot of questions. And also it's always good for my edification as well, because then if there's any corrections to be made, any devotees seeing it, they can also help to make corrections to anything I might say that's not correct. Let me get the first question. I'll pull it up. I'm going to paraphrase it as I do most questions. I have my phone here today for a change. So the question was regarding how just as I have in the title, how our perfectional experience happens. Does it happen in like at one fell swoop, or is it something that we begin to experience in terms of our siddha, our perfection? It means our constitutional relationship with Krishna, our particular form in relation to Krishna, etc. Does that happen in one fell swoop, or are we going through various incremental experiences which finalize in that realization? So that's a paraphrasing of the question. If I don't have that correct, then Didi can just write to let me know that I'm not paraphrasing the question exactly. Okay. Okay, and there's a reference to actually a quote in Srimad Bhagavatam, so I will also take another look at that and make sure. So let's go on from the basis of that paraphrasing of the question. So basically, from the time we pick up the practice of bhakti, from the time there is adho shraddha, which means that we've had some kind of, by bhakti unmukhi sukritis, some contact with the kripa of Bhagavan as it's being manifest in this world. From that very time, I'm just reading her response here. Okay, all right. So from that very time that we have contact via bhakti unmukhi sukritis, it means activities which were known knowingly or unknowingly done in relation to bhakti. From that very time, there is a influence of the internal energy of God, Swarup Shakti. That prabhav, that influence, then manifests in the form of faith when we have contact with a sadhu, right? So there's adho shraddha, which is that prerequisite contact with the prabhav of a sadhu and Bhagavan, and then there's the actual contact by hearing Hari Katha, etc. of a sadhu. From that, actual faith develops. So the symptom of this faith is that it has the ability to break the abhinivesh of the jiva. So the word abhinivesh means there's 5 types of ignorance. One is called ashmita. It means the identification of yourself as something that you're not. Like everyone is the das of Krishna, right? But under the influence of avidya, asmita arises, and there's the idea that I'm something other than the das of Krishna. And then when that is aided by a hamkara, and then finally a particular designation, born to a particular family in a particular place, that's called an upadi. When these 3 things come together, it creates the false identity of the jiva. Understand? So faith has the ability to break the absorption in that false identity. That's something that the jiva could not do on their own. I quoted yesterday, again, I'm always quoting this verse, in the 11th canto, chapter 22, verse number 10, the third line, Svato na sambhavanti. So on your own, you cannot break this influence of Maya, right? But anya, it requires another person. And when you come in contact with the influence of Krishna's Kripa via the Sadhu Guru, at that time, faith is instilled, and that faith has the power, Shraddha Anupayani Varajam Bhakti Unmukhi Chitta Vritti Vishesh. So the chitta means your consciousness, right? Your consciousness which was dominated by the external energy and caused a inextricable absorption in it, is now by the influence of that faith broken and turns the chitta, the tendencies of the heart, towards serving Bhagavan. So that already is one incremental state of realization. Because now that unbreakable connection with Maya has now been interfered with. Now, once that connection is broken, there's certainly going to be residue which comes from that. Srila Prabhupada once used the analogy of a fan. When a fan is unplugged, we don't see that it comes to an immediate halt, but rather the blades continue spinning. They just begin to slow down and slow down and slow down. When you first pull the plug out, the revolutions of the blades are still at a high enough velocity that if you put your finger in there, you'd be hurt. But gradually, by the lack of power feeding the fan, gradually the blades will slow down to a point, and I'm speaking here of my young innocence, right? Because friends, we used to do this. We used to unplug the fan, wait, and see if we could catch the point where it slowed down enough for us to stick our finger in there and kind of stop it, right? Don't blame me. Don't judge me here. So that analogy is really practical, because here it's describing that when the blades slow down enough, then they don't have a harmful effect because there's just no power behind them. In the same way, beginning from this Shraddha, and that Shraddha will become the currency and current by which your bhakti will advance. Beginning from that stage, in incremental stages, realizations will begin to come. So the key here is that, one, there has to be practice and proper practice and under guidance and under proper guidance. These are the caveats that go around allowing that faith to be executed in a practice that will then yield realizations of the internal energy in your chitta. In other words, when you're doing the bhajan kriya, it's called. This is the instructions of Guru and Sadhu how to practice. It's called bhajan kriya, right? In the beginning, it takes the form of archan, and then in maturation, it becomes bhajan. But bhajan kriya is what's used to define this section. So now, when you're doing your practice, I mentioned it has to not only be practice, but proper practice. So either a lack of practice or improper practice will check or not reveal the results of the internal energies communication, so to speak, with your practice. So what do I mean by that? So we know that, for instance, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, they've given a methodology for how to conduct your life from beginning of the morning all the way till you take rest, right? So when we're following that according to our particular individual circumstance, we have to also apply the proper mindset to it. If the proper mindset and proper heart connection are not there, then the practice becomes external. It's called Niyamagraha by Rupa Goswami Pad, and it will give sukriti, right? In other words, it will still, it's a pious thing being done, but it will not yield the fruits of the depth of realization of the internal energy. You understand? What it will do is it may put you in a situation to where if you get proper alignment in the practice under guidance of a sadhu, it will help to do that, to accomplish that part of the mission. So when you are doing proper practice under guidance of sadhu, at that time, the influence of Swarup Shakti begins to unfold in incremental stages in your consciousness. And as they unfold, then they provide epiphanies or realizations, right? Some of those realizations first come as a clarity of conception. So it will come first that, oh, here's the clear conception of what is the soul. Then it may crystallize as a experience within the chitta. And when these two things align, the conception has been digested, and that conception is now manifested as an energy of realization in the chitta. At that time, the realization becomes fixed, it becomes firm, and it becomes like the stepping stone to the next level, next level, next level, next level, next level, etc. So yes, there are incremental stages of realization. So now, when I spoke about proper practice and under guidance, to give an example, which I began to do as far as the program given by Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. For instance, when you wake up in the morning and before you arise from your bed, of course, everyone is taught to offer Guru Pranam, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, etc. So we have to have conscious content. Conscious content means that you are aware of what you're doing. Because I mentioned, if it becomes ritualistic, then it's Niyamagraha. And it will be like Sukriti, but the substantive realizations to be born from it won't happen. So when you wake up and you say, Nama Om, what are you doing? You're reaffirming Saranagati. Namaha means Na Aham Mameti. So the very root cause of our disease in the material world is the misconception that I am something other than the Das of Bhagavan. And because that lack of realization of being the Das of Bhagavan is anadi, means it has no beginning or no traceable genesis, then it incumbent upon me to reestablish that fact after knowing it by saying, Na Aham Mameti. I am not the Ahamkara. I am not the false identity. And then who am I? I am Dasosmi in relation to my Gurudev, Guru Parampara, then Mahaprabhu, then Radhakrishna. You understand? So I'm establishing the nature of Saranagati first thing in the morning, right? So now with emotional and with conscious content, I'm practicing. And then you follow the rest of Vaishnav Sadachar, you'll rise, you'll go, you'll take bath. And when you take bath, will I think, oh, I'm just going to take a shower here at my home in California, Alachua, New York, wherever I am? No. Ganga, Chamuna, Jave, Godavari, Saraswati, Namindu, Sindhu, Kavre, Jaleshmin, Sanidim, Kuru. I will call the sacred rivers. And among them I will think, all the sacred rivers have entered into which place? Shri Radha Kund. So I will think by meditation, I am so fortunate to take my shnan, right? By putting first paroksh, means sprinkle some onto my head, then taking bath in Shri Radha Kund. Then after taking bath in Radha Kund, I will anoint my body with the meditation of the 12 forests of Vrindavan, in which Radha and Krishna served under the guidance of the activities of Vrindadevi, this patra that comes down, this Vrindadevi. So all these kind of meditations should be there on a daily basis. So what this does is it takes the external practice and internalizes it. When that practice is internalized, it reveals the result internally. Part of the problem with why realizations don't take place easily for a lot of devotees is because the practice has remained separate from the internal constitution. So there's an idea, I'm practicing this because I was told to do it, right? So I need to get up, between 3:30, at least during Brahma Muhurta hours, and I need to do this particular kind of activities. It's called Sadachar. And then I should attend the morning program, Mangalarati, right? But then, if there is no internal emotional content related to it, how will it reveal an internal result? Similarly, once we performed our morning sadachar, right, at that time, we'll go to the lotus feet of Shri Gurudev, right, because then you're waking your deity, so Swabhadra, Purana, Bhagavan, Vibhira, etc. Then Uttista, Sri Guru, Tvajadiram, Kripamoya, and in touching the lotus feet of Gurudev, all of the remembrance of the Kripa of Gurudev should arise in the heart of the devotee. You understand? It should arise in the heart of the devotee. Let me see. Yes, Sadam Siddhaprabhu, very nice. Yes, like this. So, when it arises in the heart, then it should be from the inspiration of the arising of your understanding of how much mercy Srila Gurudev has given you, right? That now spawn from that feeling in your heart should emerge from you. I was incapable of manifesting a kavya, means poetry, to describe the mercy of Sri Gurudev. But by good fortune, in our Guru Parampara, Rasik Shiromani Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad, he manifested perfectly. So now repeating with the emotional content, Sangsara Dava Navalida Loka Pranaya Karuna Ganaganatam. Now, with full emotional investment, I'll recite the Mahima, the glories of Srila Gurudev, in the form of the Guru Ashtakam. The Guru Ashtakam, amazingly, there's so much in Guru Ashtakam. This is one whole class I've given many times, but I'm only telling here in brief. In the Guru Ashtakam, all the stages of bhakti are there. From the first verse, which is Shraddha, to the sixth verse, which is Bhav. You understand? So all the stages of bhakti are present there in the glorification of Guru. So one should go deeply into it, singing with meaning, right? The prayers of Guru Ashtakam. And there should be dhyan, right? Singing and just the first level will be first understand the meaning of the words themselves. This is the artha of the meaning. Then that artha, that meaning, will have an echo. You know, if you go to some place like Grand Canyon or something, or any place where there's a large echo, and you yell one word, only one word, hello, you'll hear, hello, 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 hello. In the same way, in a spiritual sense, if you will find one meaning to one word, but you have deep emotional investment, it will echo several meanings. This is called Dwani. It will echo several meanings in your heart. Understand? Then, that emotional content that you're investing will also give rise to a dhyan. A dhyan is a meditation. So I'm not only participating in the Mangalarti, singing Guru Ashtakam with the artha, with the meaning, but a dhyan arises also. What is the dhyan? Oh, my Gurudev has saved me from this cycle of samsara. How? By his causeless mercy, he's extracted so much mercy from the ocean of mercy. Who's the ocean of mercy? Right? The ocean of mercy is Shrimati Radha herself. She's the ocean of mercy. Yat Kinkreshu Bahusa Kaluka Kavani Nitapurasha Prusha Shakandamuli Tashikada Rasanide Visabhanu Jayas. Rasanide Visabhanu Jayas means Radhika is the ocean of mercy. He's extracted from the ocean of rasa and mercy so much kripa, mercy. And like a cloud, he's come into our purview. Just like a cloud takes water from the ocean, comes to the place where there may be a great forest fire, which is the comparison here, and rains down fresh water. There's so many deep things in here, because the water taken from the ocean is salt water. The indication is here is that the jiva is incapable of directly approaching Radha and Krishna in their condition. If your body is burning from head to toe and you go and place yourself in salt water, it will not be fruitful for you. So from the position of the jiva in the conditioned state, trying to directly approach Radha and Krishna is like that. But a cloud, Gana Ganatam, Gurudev, like a cloud, has extracted the nectar of the rasa of Radhika's praying, and by kripa, right, has come into our purview, because the cloud travels, right? So the cloud comes to where the forest fire is of our material existence, rains down water, but that water is transformed into fresh water. You understand? So many deep things are in Guru Astakam, right? So we begin our meditation like this, and there's so many incremental steps of the meditation, right? I've given classes on this before. I don't know if online, I can't remember, right? But certainly I've spoken on it in Traveling for Harikatha, right? So in that way, so many deep things are there, and there's a meditation. That meditation leads into the meditation of the service to Mahaprabhu Radhakrishna. At that time, we will start singing Mangala Sri Guru Gauda, Mangala Murati, Mangala Sri Radha Krishna, Jugala Pariti, Mangala Nisanta Lila. You understand? So now, this period of the day is called Nisanta Lila. So by the mercy of Gurudev, you've entered into the service of Mahaprabhu Radhakrishna during the Nisanta Lila. So all of this emotional investment is what yields realizations in the heart. And if you are in tune to those realizations and you don't add, because you cannot add to it. If you try to add to it, it's called kalpana. It's called imagination. So you can't embellish it. You only can be the recipient of it because it descends. You understand? There's aroha and avaroha, right? And this is taken from music. The scales in Vedic music or Hindustani music or any music that deals with rag and so forth, it has two kinds of modalities. One going up and one coming down. In regular music also same thing, scales go up and down. So in the same way, you cannot approach Bhagavan by the ascending method, but rather the realizations will descend into the consciousness. And you only need to be in tune with them. And once any revelation or realization comes in your heart, you put it in your Hridaya Mandir, means your heart temple, and you offer pranam and worship to it. But you don't speak it out, because if you begin to speak it out any and everywhere, Gurudev says it's like camphor, it will evaporate. Or if you take a small giwick and you take it out into a windstorm, what will happen? So in the same way, the external world is like that. It's like a windstorm. So your deep, your small flame of realization should be kept very nicely concealed in your inner heart. And allow these realizations to grow. So if you're practicing like this every single day and under guidance of Diksha or Shiksha Guru, then at that time, then your realizations will begin to grow. And if you are very careful not to try to add your own prakat, means material impositions on it, then it will grow organically and properly. And it will not be corrupted by any sahaja tendency or anything like that. Then, as your bhakti becomes more and more mature, it will manifest the various stages. Like archan becoming bhajan, truly becoming bhajan kriya. Right? Because in the beginning it's archan. Because Atashi Krishna Namani Nabhavad Grayamindriya, with your material mind and senses, you can't really render service to Krishna. So it becomes the practice of serving the Archa Vigraha. This practice is archan. When it becomes mature and the internal realizations start to become present, then it becomes bhajan. Bhaj Dhatu Itti Sevayam. The root of the word bhajan is, bhaj dhatu is seva. So that seva now is rendered from realization of your atma in incremental stages, again, right? And as it becomes more mature, then the anarthas, by the influence of the bhajan practice, are removed. Anarthas nivritti is not a separate endeavor of the jiva. Right? If you want to take darkness out, you dissipate it by light. Right? You cannot take darkness out in bucketfuls, or you can't throw the darkness out by any other means. You have to dissipate it by light. So the illumination of the Harikatha and bhajan practice headed by Harinam, the effulgence of and prabhav of Swarup Shakti imbued in those things dissipates the darkness in the heart. So anartha nivritti is done like that. Then nischalaya yashaha iti nishta. Then nishta will come. And when nishta comes, it sets the platform of the placid nature of the chitta, which is not now being dominated by vacillations due to the influence of the modes of nature. So my mind is going here, going there, over this, do that, do this. That, when it quells, it sets the stage for which taste in bhajan comes. So ataha ruchi bhajan vishai. So first, ruchi will come. Tatat bhava adi madhure shruti dirapekshate nasa sastuna yuktingscha tal lobat. Lob means ruchi. Tal lobat utpatti lakshanam. That ruchi will arise in the heart. Right? But the first ruchi is in bhajan. It is by this means, namasestam manumapi sachiputra matra surupam. One will think, oh, by the mercy of Gurudev, what I've received, namasestram, the highest class of Harinam. So one gets appreciation for bhajan. When that becomes mature, proda paratma sa'ayiti bhajaniyam, then it becomes attachment to the object of the bhajan. That stage is called ashakti. And in that stage of ashakti, I've mentioned many times, it will happen, tasya tadrissa sudakaraka basa sumalasita hridoya spatikamani. The heart, being crystal-like at that point, will reflect the abbas. It means the shadow of the mood of an eternal associate. When that comes onto the chitta, a resonance or a connection with that mood becomes prominent. At that time, the jiva can see in a fixed way what is their aspiration. Prior to that, it has all been born from the Sambandha Gyan given at the time of Diksha by Guru. And it has become thicker and thicker and thicker. In a Sakti, it becomes clear. You understand? In the Chitta, oh, the mood of Rupa Manjari is so sweet. I want to serve like that. That becomes a clear aspiration in the heart. Then Antas Chinta. Antas Chitta Seva Abhista Tat Upayogi Deinam. At that time, by contemplation on that particular mood, right? Then Antas Chintan. With Seva Abhista, a desire for that kind of service. Upayogi Dehinam. A root will manifest in your bhajan suited to that particular type of service. That is your Nitya Swarup. At the time of Swarup Shakti, with the descent fully of Swarup Shakti, that has been coming in incremental stages, with its full descent, Sudha Sattva Viseshatma Prem Suryangsa Samyabhat, Ruchi Bish Chittamasvinya. Then the Chitta will melt completely, meaning that it will become one with Swarup Shakti. Right? This explained a few verses later. Avyabuya manovritam vrajante swarupatam. Avyabuya manovrito vrajayate swarupatam. Swayam prakasharupopi basaman prakashiva. Then the chitta and the particular kind of ruchi for what you were practicing, it becomes one thing. And the revelation completely of your Siddha Swarup is manifested in Bhav Avast and becomes clear. At that time, one is doing bhajan in Bhav, right? Because the goal of sadhana is to obtain Bhav. Then practicing in Bhav to obtain Prem. Understand? So this is how the incremental stages of realizations work up to the point of Bhav. But again, emphasis will be, in order to experience it, it will require one, practice. But not just practice, but proper practice. And that proper practice should be under guidance. Not just under guidance, but under proper guidance. And then the effect of the bhajan practice given by our Guru Vargas will become, will show their efficacy. You understand? It will manifest realizations in the chitta, and I've already mentioned, those should be kept in the heart, and there should be no application of any prakrit bhav, means our material energy. We won't try to falsely apply that, but we will graciously serve and worship those realizations, understanding them to be Guru Kripa. You understand? I have not met Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu. This is Guru Kripa coming in my heart. Understand? Guru Kripa ki Anandamurti. That Anand felt doing this unfoldment is the Anand of the mercy of my Gurudev. You understand? For instance, it is very difficult, impossible, literally, for any person to cry or show emotional content due to separation from Mahaprabhu Radha Krishna because we've not had that direct experience. If you have, I'm not speaking to you and I beg your pardon. So, and I'm not being sarcastic here because I just don't know everybody, so I can't make a blanket statement like that. But if you are unfolding and you have not had that experience yet, the first symptom that realizations are coming will be your ability to manifest emotional content in relation to Sri Guru. Because you have experience of the Acharya Lila. You've had experience with Srila Gurudev. And therefore, there is some concrete connection, right? If you are a deep disciple, there's some definite heart connection there. So it means that now there can be emotional content expressed, which will arise also swabhavically, naturally, in relation to the heart connection with Sri Guru. When I would think about the kripa of Guru, when I would think about the mercy of Guru, when I would think about if Gurudev is into Samadhi, all the separation mood from Guru, all these things are genuine spiritual emotions. And that is the first set of spiritual emotions that come to the jiva. Yeah? Everything in relation to Sri Guru. Like this. Okay, so hopefully that answered the first question. There may be follow-up parts to it and so forth and so on. So if there are, Didi, you can write me. And actually the question was very wonderful, really. I mean, it stirred a lot of things. So you can write if there's something additional. But hopefully this answered at least the basic part of what is your question. The other question was, let me see. Was it about, now I'm thinking because I got so deeply involved here. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about the other question. I don't want to paraphrase it and just say something that was incorrect. And say, well, I thought he was texting me. No. But yeah, I'll come back and I'll deal with the other question on another day so that I can make sure I say it correctly and don't give any injustice to it. Because I do value that devotees, if they've written a question, it's meaningful to them. And I don't want to take it lightly and just be sort of half-hearted about it. So forth. Okay, so Didi, if that was satisfactory, then very good. Oh, there was one other question which was there. It's not the question I'm thinking about, but one other question was there. Was a devotee asking about the nature of having heard from someone how we view everything in a utopian way when it comes to spiritual life. That was a third question. It was not the question I was thinking about, but it did come to my mind. They were saying that we look at going to the spiritual world and we'll get there and it'll be like utopia. But we see that even in the spiritual world, there are problems, like the gopis become separated from Krishna, like the Pandavas have to suffer, and they gave a number of examples. So they were saying that in our spiritual practice here, part of the first thing that has to be done is to come to the point of getting rid of the idea of looking at spiritual life in a utopian way. So the devotee was asking me about that, and my partial reply to that devotee was, nonsense. Basically, in so many words. Because we cannot conflate material conceptions with spiritual reality. What creates an idea of utopia is self-interest. Because even if you, of course, phonetically, this is not the actual thing, but if in just to give a comic insight into it, utopia. It's all about you. So, yes, if we have self-interest and everything is about us, right, and we're looking at things from utopian point of view, about me, right, then yes, we will find always problems in any paradigm. So even if you're in the spiritual paradigm, but you're considering everything is all about me, then yes, you'll find that there will be problems because there's still a duality. See, the actual duality, there's a duality that bewilders the jiva. What is that duality? Self-interest. You understand? This is the core issue of what is presented in the world as duality. Because really there's only one interest. Atma Sukhe Duke Gopio Na Kare Vichar. It's expressed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gopis have no conception of their own Atma Sukha Duk, their own happiness or distress. Their entire meditation is only how Krishna will be happy. Now, you may say even that itself seems utopian. Everything for Krishna. But the problem is, that's the reality. That is the reality. Krishna, first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Pradhan Sastra, means the root foundational Sastra. It is mentioned there. Janmadhyasya yata anviyat itara chastra artishu abhigya swarat. Only Krishna is the independent reality that can, by natural, organic, swabhavik means, have the situation where everything is for his, her pleasure, because Krishna is not a masculine principle only. There's always Sri Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And Radharani is Bhagavan. She's not less than Bhagavan. She's Bhagavan Shakti. And between Bhagavat Shakti and Bhagavan, there is no difference. Right? They are abed. There's no difference. Right? Radha Krishna Achayi Eki Swarup. Leela Rasa Sudite Dari Duriru. Radha and Krishna are one reality that have taken two forms in order to taste Leela Rasa. You understand? So, it is the extreme independence of that position that Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti, that he is the connoisseur of tasting the service of everyone and everything. You understand? Now, in us, in our natural state of consciousness, that is not a problem, and because it doesn't give rise to a duality of self-interest, there is no impediments in it as far as the experience of Ananda. Therefore, everything in the spiritual world is experienced as Ananda. Why? Because there's no self-interest in the spiritual world. And therefore, the only product of emotion are variations of Ananda. Now, you cannot intellectually try to grasp that. It's an experiential reality. It's not an intellectual exercise. Oh, well, what does that mean? How does that work? If the gopis are suffering very deeply because Krishna went to Mathura, how are they happy? How's that Ananda? Prem only manifests varieties of Ananda. Right? When the spiritual world is described, it's described as Sat Chit Ananda. It's not described as Sat Chit Ananda / Nirananda under certain conditions. Everything is only Ananda there. And just the fact that we're still in conditioned life, the immediate thought comes up, then everybody's always happy. Well, how is everybody always happy under certain conditions? Because I don't experience happiness under adverse conditions. So how does that work? You cannot intellectually grasp. This is the meaning of achintya. Achintya. Chintya means something you can contemplate in your condition. But achintya means it is beyond contemplation in a conditioned state. It is achintya. It can't be contemplated by material intelligence, etc., etc. You understand? Prem only produces anand. You understand? It does not produce anything else because there is no self-interest involved. And once we understand that the absence of self-interest and then progressively the exclusive interest, anukulyena Krishna anusilanam, in all endeavors for the anukul seva of Krishna, it produces uttam bhakti. That bhakti is itself samvit, sandini, and ahladini. Ahladini is the essence of it. Ladini sara prem, prem sara bhav. Ladini, ananda, is the essence of love of God. That love of God is expressed as a bhav, which means all the bhavs, sthai bhavs, in relation to Krishna are imbued with ananda. Understand? And the progressive stages Prem, Sneha, Man, Rag, Anurag, Pranay, I forgot. All these stages are variations of Prem, Ananda. And all Leelas and manifestations of activities are variations of Prem, Ananda. Because they don't have a dualistic propensity. That's why the second verse of Bhagavatam says, what is that verse? Dharma projita kaitavatra paramanoni matsaranam satam. The word nimatsara here is near matsarya. Matsarya means the idea of self-interest. Matsarya generally translated as envy. But envy is not always envy with malice. There's envy meaning the self-interest of a person. And when a person has self-interest, it naturally seeks to override the interest sometimes of others. This is called Matsarya. So Bhagavatam is written where all dharmic ideas, spiritual ideas, which imbibe self-interest, up to self-interest in moksha, liberation, even in Vaikuntha. So Salokya, Sarupya, Sarsti, Samipya, right? Dhyamana Nak, Dhyamana Granti, Vinamat Sevana Jana. Vinamat Sevana Jana. Without Seva, nobody wants even liberation in Vaikuntha. You understand? Those who want pure devotion don't even want liberation in Vaikuntha because it's still a self-interest. Moksha is considered one of the 4 Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha. I'll also have my liberation, freedom from that's my self-interest. That's why there's a very deep upakyan in the story of Jai and Vijay. Because they were offered the opportunity to come to the material world 7 times as devotees under the influence of a mental curse by Lakshmi Devi. She didn't utter the curse. She thought the curse. Or they could come 3 times opposed to Bhagavan under the pretense of a curse by the 4 Kumaras. It's written in Shastra that curse, Jai Vijay Sonakari Shap Vyajema. The curse, Vyajema means like a pretense, right? Because you cannot curse the residents of Vaikuntha, understand? But under the pretense of a curse, this Leela was performed. What is significant about this Leela is that Jai and Vijay accepted adversity to the Lord so the Lord could taste Viraros, the act of chivalry. It is one of the Gaun rasas, one of the secondary rasas. So to taste that Viraras, they accepted coming here, which means no self-interest. Self-interest would have been, yes, let's go 7 times as devotees. Why? Narayana Parayana Save Nakutashina Bibhyati Swarga Apavagana Rakeshu Api Tulyatra Darshana. As a devotee, it doesn't matter where you are, you still have the same Ananda experience. So if they come 7 times as a devotee, their own happiness would not be interfered with. Understand? So they elected, no, first let us have the mood of serving Bhagavan. Viraras. Therefore in Bhagavatam it's mentioned, Samrama, Sambritya, Anubhadi, Samadhi, Yog. That the activities of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakasipu, Ravan, Kumbhakara, Shishupal, and Dantavakra were all bhakti. You understand? They were not demons. It was bhakti being performed. But the secret is expressed in Bhagavad Gita. Api chetsu duracharo bhajate mamananyabhak. You have to see who that person is to understand how they are pi chetsu duracharo bhajate mamananyabhak. They have ananda bhakti towards Bhagavan. And that bhakti cannot be broken. Therefore, their so-called durachar is lila. And in Bhagavatam 3rd Canto it's expressed. The more that they became involved in their respective roles as supposedly being opposed to Krishna, they developed samadhi and bhakti from that. Srimad Bhagavatam is extremely deep understanding. It's only written for the basis of proving that all Ved, Sastra, all Itihasas like Mahabharata, etc., the very nature of Gayatri and all Vedantas only proving the supremacy of the love of God, especially that love held by Radhika. This is the whole purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the concluding verse of Bhagavatam points to the fact that that kind of love will descend immediately after Krishna Lila in the form of Gaur Lila. So the last verse of Bhagavatam says, Nama Sankirtanayasa Sava Papa Pranasanam. That Mahaprabhu will come and bring a Sankirtan, a methodology by which you will realize how this love of Srimati Radhika is the pinnacle of everything. All meaning of Ved, all meaning of Vedanta, the purpose of the Mahabharata, right? Because one verse is quoted there. Artam Brahmasutranam Bhat Artha Vinyanaya Gayatri Bhasha Rupo So Veda Paribrimnita. So Artam Brahmasutranam, it is the actual meaning of Vedanta Sutra. Bhat Artha Vinyanaya. If you want to understand why the whole Mahabharata and Itihasas are written, go and understand Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. And the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita, in its highest level, is Krishna's catharsis of separation from Braj. You understand? Bhagavad Gita is very deep. 5 levels of understanding Bhagavad Gita. Samanyan, Guya, Guyata, Guyatam, Sava, Guyatam. You understand? And Gayatri Bhasha Rupo So, the very Gayatri mantra, which is the essence of Vedas, right? Which in its mature form becomes Kam Gayatri. It is the actual explanation of that Gayatri is Srimad Bhagavatam. And Vedanta Paribramita. So the definition of what is the Veda is Srimad Bhagavatam. It defines what is the Veda. Understand? So, no. I kind of extrapolated a lot, but the point being that no. The whole idea of utopia is not something that is in the spiritual paradigm and conception. It's something we're imposing in it because we have self-interest, and our view of all of these things is utopian, based on you, I and mine. You understand? No. But when vision is pure, then it can be understood clearly. All right, I will look up this other question too, because I don't want that devotee to feel bad. But I want to do justice to your question, so I only want to answer when I have a good picture. And just in the course of answering the other question, I became more absorbed and wasn't able to really fully paraphrase, and I don't have it written right in front of me. All right, my Dhanavad Pranam, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripashindavevacha, Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dhanavad devotees. Also, I'm setting up the summer travel schedule here, so hopefully I'll see some devotees doing travel. We will not have a Bhakti intensive this year. Because we're going to travel in lieu of doing that. I asked devotees earlier, is it better maybe to travel and have association in the travels? And most devotees said yes, because then people who may not have been able to come to the intensive can come to the satsang wherever we are traveling to. And also gives me a chance to have association of so many other devotees and so forth and so on. So as we get closer to the travel dates, then I will let persons know according to where you live and what places I will make in the first travel and in the second travel and all of that kind of stuff. All right, please, other than that, please pray to Shri Shri Guru Gauranga that they can give me some mercy to continue unfolding in bhakti and to have all of your association. Jai Radhe Radhe.